This is the Hohem iSteady MT2, an AI tracking gimbal for compact and mirrorless cameras. And this gimbal can do everything every other gimbal can do, and then some of the things that no other gimbal can do. And it's gonna blow your mind. I honestly believe that for 90% of people out there, this is the only gimbal you're ever gonna need. Especially if you're a solo content creator like a YouTuber, a TikToker, where pretty much you do all the work. If you use compact or mirrorless cameras, this is gonna be a game changer for you. This AI tracker is amazing, and it's gonna allow you to do things that you just can't do with any other gimbal. This is the thing, with this gimbal, you're no longer limited to static shots on a tripod when you got nobody to help you. And I'm gonna record a little sequence here, coming down from the stairs where I am. I'm walking out to the riverside so that you can see the potential of what this gimbal can do for you. I'm using a Canon lens with a speed booster and an LCV 16-35 with a sunshade. So this is not something that most gimbals can handle, and we'll come to that later in the video. First shot we're gonna do is coming down the steps and let the AI tracker do the business. Let's see how well it does it. Give it the OK sign and come down. I'm gonna go around these bushes and then come into the frame. Let's see how good the AI tracker does the job. This next shot is the final one, and it's just me arriving to the riverside and looking onto the river, and obviously, you know, think about the possibilities. It doesn't have to be as cheesy as this. I think this is pretty insane that you can do all of this without anybody helping you. I think this is honestly something special. And this is what's so cool about this, that you could cheat that you have a camera person with you when in actual fact it's the gimbal and the AI tracker doing the work for you. So imagine that you're in a kitchen, similar setup like this. You could be doing your cooking, and then you could be moving around, grabbing things from the shelves, you know, bringing it to whatever it is that you're cooking. You could literally have maybe something that you need to put in an oven, you open and close, and the gimbal and the AI tracker is doing all the heavy lifting for you as if you had a camera person with you. And yes, I know what you're going to say, that it's a bit of a pain when you have a bit of a distance between the camera and yourself, but Hohem also has this remote control. And this is fantastic because what this allows you to do is, for instance, pause the AI tracker. And with this remote control, you can literally readjust the tracker to suit whatever it is you want to do, whether you want more headroom, less headroom. You can literally do all of this, and you tell it to continue tracking you, and again, it's tracking you whatever it is that you go. Or you might be someone who's into sports like football or dancing. I am not a dancer myself by any stretch of the imagination, but how about a little bit of basketball? Well, not that I'm any good at it anyway, but let's see what this gimbal and tracker can do. So, there you go. So I'm really not good at it. If you see me scoring one, it's because I spent the last 15 minutes trying to get one in. Yes, finally! I should be out of the tracking range now. I mean, I would be a stan if he continues tracking me. Okay, so I am out of the tracking range now. But this is as simple as coming onto the frame, do the OK sign, and the gimbal is again tracking you. Whatever it is that you do, wherever it is that you go, the gimbal is tracking you. And this is what's so amazing about this gimbal, because you can now introduce movement to your shots. And if you want the gimbal to be static, you just do the stop sign and the gimbal is now static. Now, this is not a tracking stick, this is a gimbal as well. So let's find out if this is any good and whether there are any issues worth mentioning. The first thing that I really want to mention is this AI tracker. This is phenomenal, and up until recently, this was technology that you only had available on a smartphone gimbals. If you shot your videos with your fancy mirrorless or compact DSLR camera, and then you wanted any tracking shots, you had to go onto a smartphone gimbal, and you are never gonna match those colors in post, and it was an absolute pain. Now you can do everything with your camera, and it's also so simple and easy to use. Another thing that is really good is the payload, because even though it's marketed as 1.2 kilograms, it can handle more weight than that. Now look, I have a Canon M6 Mark II with a speed booster, an L series 16 to 35 with a freewheel magnetic variable ND, and I have this sunshade. And this is really important that very few people use, because if you happen to be filming with the sun in front of the lens, depending on the angle that you film, you might get a lot of flaring, and you will never be able to recover that shot, and you will have to reshoot. So having this is like having a matte box, but without the weight that carries a matte box. And this very same setup is something that the Zhiyun Crane M3S, for instance, cannot handle. It can handle the camera and the lens and the variable ND, but not the sunshade. So that in itself, it's really good for a gimbal in this price range. And balancing this gimbal is really easy because of the base plate. There is no friction whatsoever. It's really easy to slide back and forth. And even the motors, the roll axis in many of the gimbals, once you start adding payload, it's really sticky and very hard to slide sideways. With this one, you have no problem whatsoever. That in itself is very good. And this gimbal comes with a few tricks that no other gimbal has. It comes with a magnetic mini screwdriver that you can pop on and off, and because it's magnetic, you can use it and then pop it back onto the gimbal, and you know that it's going to be there at all times. And it also has this 1/4 inch in one of the motors, and you can add counterweights if you feel that the roll axis is not enough to counterbalance your camera. And another thing that I really like about this gimbal is where the locks for the motors are, because they are on the bars of the motors, but behind, away from the operation, and they're very easy to engage, they're very easy to find. This is something that Hohem has done a very good job with, because what it means is that the operation of the gimbal becomes really easy and simple, and in actual fact, the actual gimbal itself to operate is really simple. It comes with an app that you can easily pair to the gimbal as you launch the app via Bluetooth, and in there you can adjust the intensity of the motors, the speed of the joystick, and it comes with a really good feature that if for whatever reason your gimbal is off by whatever degree on any of the axes, you can adjust that permanently so that it defaults to that setting. So I find that really helpful. The app also allows you to control the movement of the gimbal remotely if that's something that you need. So in that regard, there is a really good interaction between the app and the gimbal. You can still easily change the modes of the gimbal pressing the M button, and there is a fair functionality that you get on the actual gimbal itself. The joystick works really nice. If you have a camera and a lens that is supported by the gimbal, you can do remote on-off switch via Bluetooth. That's really helpful. If it's not, you can just connect the cable and it will do it for you. Personally, I hardly use any of these features because I like to have control on the camera itself. And once I set up my camera, I hardly do any adjustments on the fly. But if you need that functionality, it's there. And just like with pretty much any other gimbal out there, you have time lapse and motion lapse. And you can set this up either through the app or on the actual gimbal itself. You have these two buttons on the side, and you can set point A to point B, hit record on your camera, and you get an amazing time lapse. So this is really good functionality on the gimbal itself. And finally, I genuinely love this remote control that Hohem has, because what is great about this AI tracker is that you can make adjustments to it. So if you have too much headroom or not enough, you can literally just adjust that. If you want the tracker to keep you maybe on the left or the right side of the frame because you don't want to be in the middle, you can set this up, and you can have also remote on and off. And two other aspects that are going to benefit from this are vertical filming and using a smartphone, because vertical filming is fantastic. It's really easy. You slide the base plate and you literally just fit it vertically. And it's really well designed. Someone at Hohem has put some thought into this, because the process is really easy and you'll be filming in vertical in no time, and there is no restrictions of movement whatsoever. That's what's really great about the vertical filming in this gimbal. It won't handle the same payload as horizontal, but if you use a small compact camera with a lightweight lens, you're not gonna have any problem whatsoever. And the same applies to using a smartphone. You can film horizontal and vertical, and you have no issue whatsoever. The gimbal itself comes with its own smartphone mount, but you can also attach to the base plate whatever case that you use, whether it's a small rig or any other. And payload really is not an issue either, because at 1.2 kilos, you are never gonna max that out on a smartphone. And the best of it is that you can mount the phone in whichever way you want, whether it's upright or upside down, so that you don't have any issues with any sound or wireless transmitters or receivers. So in that regard, this is a very cleverly designed gimbal. Is this gimbal perfect? No. Are there things that I don't like? Unfortunately, yes, there are. And the first thing is to do with the Bluetooth connection, because I have found it to be way more temperamental than I've expected. With other gimbals, I have no issue whatsoever connecting my camera to the gimbal. It happens in a matter of seconds. With this gimbal, I just can't make it happen, even though my camera is in the list of supported cameras by Hohem. So this is something that I would like them to address, because even though you can get that functionality by connecting the camera to the gimbal with a USB-C cable, but you're introducing a cable into the mix, and that might throw off the balance at some point. And another area that I don't particularly like when I compare it to other gimbals is the actual LCD screen or OLED screen, because even though it's a nice screen that you can actually see on a bright daylight, it doesn't have the same level of functionality that, let's say, a Xeon Crane M3S or a DJI RS3 Mini or similar gimbals, where you get a really big LCD and browsing the menus is all done really nice and easy there. Here, the functionality is a bit limited and you have to rely a lot on the app itself. I just hope that in a future version they can address this. Another area where I think there is room for improvement is on the jog wheel, because many of the gimbals have it right behind, just above the reset button. This gimbal has it on the right side, and that's not an issue for me, but I feel the functionality is quite limited at the moment. For instance, rather than just controlling the roll, you could control the tilt or the pan, as well as other functionalities that they can use with this jog wheel. And another thing that they should address is the lack of deadband adjustment, because this is a setting that helps massively on getting really smooth shots, and is nowhere near to be seen neither on the app or on the actual gimbal itself. So this is something that I hope they can address and include in a future firmware upgrade. Does this mean that I think this gimbal is not good enough? Absolutely not. I think this gimbal is fantastic, and this AI tracker gives you incredible functionality that you're not gonna find with any other gimbal in the market today. So what do I think about this Hohem iSteady MT2 gimbal? Well, I think for a first generation gimbal, this is phenomenal. And yes, there are things that I wish it had, but for the first generation gimbal, I think it's fantastic. Stabilization is really good, and this AI tracker and gimbal combo, it's fantastic, because you're not gonna find anything in the market today for compact and mirrorless cameras giving you these kind of features. To me, this gimbal opens up a lot of possibilities, and it's definitely making it into my camera bag on a permanent basis. And if after watching this video you're still wondering whether you even need a gimbal with all this built-in stabilization that you get on cameras and smartphones, I have this video here that I think you're gonna find really interesting. And hey, if you like this video, hit the like button, smash it if that's what you're into, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next one.